If you want to get good at any style of music, it's really important to listen to a lot of examples of people playing that music well. Hi, my name is Robert. I'm a musician with about 25 years of experience teaching music, and I'm building community to help musicians grow more together. So when you want to learn any particular style, if you don't listen to music in that style regularly, it's hard to have it inside of you to actually emulate when you're playing it on your instrument. For example, I played a lot of bass in college, specifically the upright bass and jazz combos, and one time I was a couple of years into college, and my instructor point blank said, "Hey, do you listen to much jazz?" And I had to be honest, my go-to music that I listened to at that point in time was, early 2000s emo. I listened to a lot of ska punk and things like that from my youth. And so the answer was basically no. So he challenged me and he said, if you really want to grow, you need to get a lot of good records of competent jazz musicians, and you need to focus time listening to them over and over again and just get really into the music. And so I actually took that whole winter break and I decided, I'm just going to take a break from my normal routine of listening, and I'm going to listen to a whole bunch of jazz music. And what happened in that time was really interesting because I actually began to notice things in the music that I hadn't noticed before that were subtle, and even just with how the bass player approached different beats and maybe emphasizing a little bit more beats 2 and 4 than they would have otherwise. And I got a lot more into the rhythmic foundations. I understood how some of the chord progressions worked and how the bass player moved around them and how that interacted with the other musicians in the band. That all made me a much more well-rounded musician when I came back to school and I got into it, and I could tell that it had impacted my playing in a very significant way because I started applying those things in my practice, and I started applying those things when playing in our gigs. And so it's really important to listen and to become more familiar with those things, because otherwise what happens is you start to create more of a cheap imitation of the style you're trying to emulate based on some very passive understanding of how the music goes. So if you want to be authentic, it's important to actually get into the music, get steeped in it, and to grow that way, and then have that come from within rather than trying to just grasp at what you think the music should sound like to make it sound more jazzy or whatever else like that. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.